with 3 cameras, you have a master camera that shoots the wide of everything. You have the cutaway camera that shoots all the different cutaways, and you have the close-up camera that shoots the speaker. So, using this template, to go back to your project tonight, and we think in the same way. We think in the same way, where it's like whether you have 2 cameras or 3, what I said was most important was 2. A master wide camera and a close-up camera of the actual people who are involved, which in your case would be the speaker. So, you have 1 camera shooting the wide of the whole event, and that means from the back of the room it's shooting the actual lecture, the people, the lesson, the lecturer, people in the lesson, right? And you've got it. With 1 camera, you've got your event. But that'd be boring. With the second camera, you shoot the close-ups. And the close-ups would be the close-up of the lecturer. Why?
Because that's the most important person at the wedding.
Cutaway shots as well.
Yeah, well, that's our third camera. But the close-up of the lecturer is most important because the lecturer is like the bride, yes. That's the person who actually will say, hey, can I get a copy of that DVD? See myself actually doing my work. So, cutting between the close-up of the lecturer and the wide shot of the lecturer giving a lecture, which you didn't have in your film, creates dynamism, visual grammar, something to cut. Now, because you want that, and that's the most important thing, right? You know, you're going to have to do the cutaways later, right? So, with the third camera, which is the cutaway camera, or the second camera later, that means before the event, you're filming people, networking, interactions. Yeah? You're actually like in the theater where the event is going to be, or the room or the hall, you know, but you're actually getting what we said earlier, featured elements. So with the cutaway camera, you're shooting featured elements. Where is this event taking place?
In the Laurie's Centre in Birmingham.
In the Laurie's Centre. So, in a room, yeah? So what you want to do is, as far as your featured elements, you're there, the event, let's just say, starts at 8, right? And everything, you get there for like 7:30. Why?
Picture of the front of the building, maybe?
Well, that's true, but why else?
To set up.
To set up. To know where your camera placement will end up being. You need to take charge of the room before anybody gets in there. This is what's going to be the best value for our wedding. The idea of planning is to be able to plan out where you're going to place the camera. What did I say this was? This is about camera placement. So where do we set up and where do we control? So you go in there early before an event and you say, yes, we're the camera crew. And we want to know, 1, where our plugs are. Bing, 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 bing. Yeah, that's our powers. We want to know where we're going to set up our camera bases. Bing, bing, bing. Okay, we're going to be over here. We can capture this, capture that, yeah, right? We also want to actually decide on, do we want to get people coming in? Do we want to get seats? So like with that being the case, is that a really good shot from a potential cutaway or second camera is the auditorium or the room filling up. And that's what we call like our time-lapse shot. You know, people coming into place. Yeah? If you got the footage on your cards, just have one card, just have a camera on a tripod, and then leave it and go over to the other camera. And then that camera will just get people milling about, the room fills up, you know, people's taking their seats. And then what you do is you load that in and you speed it up. And it goes, fantastic shot. Yeah? You leave that camera alone and go to the other 1 or 2 cameras. With the other 1 or 2 cameras, then you start, you know, gathering information. people networking, who's here, you know, talking to one another, letting them know that you want to ask questions later. Yeah, introducing yourselves. We're the camera crew, right? And we're here to like try and capture the event and to kind of talk to people afterwards. So, because what's the point in talking to them before they have nothing to say unless this person's famous? You know, it's got to be whatever information you gather from them has to be, I really got a lot out of that. And that's helpful for you, it's helpful for the person who's the actual speaker. Yeah, but also too is you actually showing connections of people networking. So if she's talking about networking and about the future because she's giving a taster of an overview, then what happens is that you actually have her talking and then you can actually cut to those people interacting. And that, because if you have one camera or two, hopefully preferably, is that you're able to break up her speech. Because actually at the end of the day, do you actually need it all? If she's booked in for an hour, do you want an hour? Because if all you're really supposed to do is give an overview as she's giving an overview, you might only need 10, 15 minutes. So, unfortunately, you have to shoot for an hour, right? But when you shoot for an hour, you actually cut it down into 10 to 15 minutes because from what I just described to you, you have plenty of footage. But if you just go there, when's she coming, when's she coming? And then you just shoot her with your one camera, yeah, I got that, okay, yeah, now I can go get a beer, I can go eat, I can go home, I can do whatever, then, you know, that's not filmmaking. You know what I mean? And that's not capturing the best of the event. But if you go there to set up, have a plan, talk to one another, this is what we're going to do, this is where we're going to set up our cameras, this is why we're going to do it. Right? I just said that she had the right answer there. This is why you're going to do it. This philosophy works. Does it? No matter what you film. I was saying that this is the same thing as a lecture. A wedding is really a really good example of how important it is because you can only get it once. And people are so particular about that one magic moment that you are asked to capture, right? But you can do it very basically and simply without even knowing who's getting married, as long as you know the structure of how you're going to do it. So then, that works for anything that you go into, as long as you know the lay of the land, which means you know the venue, you know the speaker, you have a goal. The goal is to shoot a wide of the event, of the lecture, the people that are at the lecture, the lessons that the lecturer is teaching. One camera. Preferably a second camera that will shoot the close-up of the lecturer, so that way you could cut between the close-ups to the wides. The third camera or the second camera that you have to use earlier for cutaways gets the people networking and it gets interactions of people. You also can use it as a time-lapse camera as well for like what I was suggesting, that you just put it on a tripod. Now with a time-lapse camera, that could be shot with an SD. Yeah? Because all you're really doing is you have to load it in at real time, but you're actually only loading in something that should be like about a half an hour to an hour long and squeezing it down into a minute.
I mean, what matters if it's different?
No, it wouldn't matter at all. That's why I said it does, like, you know. So that camera could easily do that. Also, too, is that if you know you have an SD camera versus an HD camera, you could do your idea of whatever shots, a shot with that. It could be interviews of people in response, and you just turn it black and white. Because black and white and SD will still look like HD. Yeah, and as long as you got a nice clean background for the people that you're like doing it. And then what happens is that it looks more dramatic because you got the lecturer talking about an overview of what she's going to teach later, and then you got the people responding to it. And so that's just a cutaway in black and white. You're going, yeah, I really love that lecture. I really love learning about this. And you prompt them. You know what the topic is, or you should. So, you know, what did you learn about that or that? Oh man, don't get me on that one. I wasn't really listening. Okay, can't use that one. Oh yeah. When she talked about, you know, economics or whatever she talked about, and I could use that one. Yeah, so that could be shot in SD too. Yeah, so the third camera or second camera later, like I said, can be used, and it can be an SD or an HD and everything, and it's just only something that is going to make whatever you present from this point on a little bit more creative. Hopefully you felt that way as well. Is that, oh wow, that just gave me a lot to think about there. You know, and here's an actual event that we're going to do. These things are intricate because they're very basic. And you might even have known them, but you didn't think about them in this context. You know what I mean? And now what's great is that you have an event that's coming up that you can actually apply it, so that way it becomes rote for you.
And while it's nice and fresh, and you're
Yeah.
kind of thinking it through. And,
Yeah, and you, like I said, you know, you got the word as well, so it's kind of like that thing about, you know, well, you know, let's get some extreme close-ups, let's get some featured elements. You know, we're in the lorries, let's show that we're in the lorries. So just like you said, you know, let's get an established shot.
I think that's the thing, isn't it, Chase? What we've been doing is going along, filming, and then trying to edit it afterwards. Whereas what you're saying is you need to collect that material, you need to have all that material in order to make the final thing.
You need a plan.
You need a plan, yeah.
Well, it's just like what you were saying is that you guys haven't even thought about talking about it beforehand because it's just the thing that we do.
We all knew we had to do, I mean, especially myself and Will, who kind of like really try and push forward with making videos and stuff. We always knew that we needed to make a storyboard, didn't we? We always know that. But actually sitting there and making a storyboard is really, really difficult. But I can't believe we've never seen it so simply as the wedding. The wedding's the perfect one, really. It's so clear that now of why you need to do that plan and what type of things you need to do straight away. It is no black and white now. It's quite clear to me. I know exactly what to do. Anywhere we go from now on, I've got a bit of a bank of ideas where I'm going to run out and do the plan.